This is a relatively common configuration. So you have your UniFi gateway, you configured VPN client, you connected to other VPN service provider. So in this video, I'm going to use another UniFi gateway as the VPN server from the other side. But this part, the green part, is not important. The focus for this video is the blue part. At the same time, in UDM Pro, you configure a VPN server and serve some VPN clients. It's a very common request. You want to route their internet traffic to the existing VPN client's tunnel from the same UDM Pro. So you do not want the internet traffic of the VPN client go directly from the one part of the UDM Pro to the internet. No, instead you want to route it to the remote side VPN server. Let's first see how it's configured in my lab environment. Then we can see whether it works by default. On the top, you see two UniFi network applications. The left one is for UXG Pro, the green part one. So you can see under VPN, I already configured a VPN server and it's using WireGuard. From the server address, you can tell this is a private IP address because this is my lab environment. But it doesn't matter if it's a public IP address, it works in the same way. And then in the right side, under settings VPN, under VPN client, not VPN server, I configured a WireGuard client and it's using the configuration downloaded from the left side. So it will connect to the left side. And you can see the server address. It matches the left side server address. In fact, in the left side, you can see I already have a active client. And for this VPN client, you can see it's already connected. Okay, this is about this connection from UDM Pro to UXG Pro, right? At the same time, in the UDM Pro, in right side, under VPN server, I configured the VPN server for this UDM Pro. So the UDM Pro runs both VPN client and VPN server. For this VPN server, it's configured in the similar way as the left side. You can see from the IP address, it's also running behind my main gateway. It's my lab environment. And then you can see I already have a client added, and the lower part, this Mac machine, is already connected to the WireGuard server provided by the UDM Pro. All the VPN connections are already established. At this moment, all the routings are default. I haven't changed anything yet. So then let's see if in the Mac machine, if I have some internet activity, how the traffic will be routed. In the two SSH sessions, let me log on to the two gateways. Then in each gateway, let me run TCP dump to capture the internet traffic, which I'm going to generate. So let me run the command in this way, TCP dump. I want to capture all the interfaces, but I'm only interested in the traffic which is related to this host 9999. It doesn't matter whether it's source or destination. I want to capture them. Okay, let me run it. And now it shows nothing because I haven't started the internet traffic yet. Then in UDM Pro, run the exact same command. Both have been started. In the right side, in the Mac machine, let me simply ping 9999. Just to reduce the traffic, I'm only going to ping it once. Okay, right? Yeah, we only have traffic captured in UDM Pro. What are the 4 frames? The first one, this is the IP address for the Mac machine. It tries to ping 9999, right? Send to this interface. What's this interface? In the diagram, you can see this is the VPN server interface for the UDM Pro. That makes sense, right? Then the next traffic, Ethernet 0, which is the one part for the UDM Pro. This is the one IP address for the UDM Pro. It reach out to 9999. So this is typical NAT operation, right? So my internal private IP address is mapped to the one IP address, right? And then the third packet is from 9999 back to the one part. And then the very last packet again is the WireGuard Server 1 interface, which is the VPN server interface for UDM Pro, and it returned the traffic from 9999 to this VPN client. All the 4 packets make sense. The problem is it doesn't meet my requirement. What I want is I want this type of internet traffic to go with this VPN client interface, which is WireGuard Client 1. And then I want it to be routed to the remote VPN server, which is the UXG Pro, right? So let's see whether we can achieve that using the default routing configuration in UDM Pro. Before that, let me stop the TCP dump in UDM Pro. Then let me show you the current interfaces. We have WireGuard Client 1, which is used as a VPN client to connect to the remote UXG Pro. And we have another one is WireGuard Server 1. This one is for the VPN server running locally in the UDM Pro. Okay, we need to differentiate these two because these two are crucial in this video. Okay, to achieve what I want, apparently the first thing I can think of is PBR, policy-based routing. In the UDM Pro, if I go to policy engine, go to policy-based routes, see, even from the description, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to forward the internet traffic through a VPN interface, right? So let me create a route. And then here I need to select a VPN tunnel, choose this one, right? This one is the WireGuard client to UXG Pro. This is the VPN interface I want the internet traffic to go through, right? So I select this one. For source, apparently I need to select the subnet for the Mac machine, which is .8.something, right? If I try to choose the device or network, select. Unfortunately, it doesn't list the subnet for the Mac machine, the VPN clients. And the VPN client, the Mac machine, even doesn't show up in the device list. So basically, there's no way for me to even choose the subnet or the particular machine, and I have no way to provide a IP address for my Mac machine. Then no matter what else functionality, this way doesn't work for me. So that's the whole reason for the video. The standard PBR doesn't support what I want. Close this window, it doesn't work. The only result I have is to go to the backend to manually configure the routing in UDM Pro. In the UDM Pro SSH session, let me show you the IP address again. So you can see for the WireGuard client interface, which is connected to the remote UXG Pro, it has this .6 subnet. And then for the WireGuard server, which is serving the Mac machine, it has the .8 subnet. Basically, the routing I need to configure is to route the .8 internet traffic through this WireGuard Client 1 interface. So let's see how I can do that. First, let me create a custom routing table. When I say custom, I mean it's not the default main routing table. So let me run the command IP route to add a new route. And what I'm saying is for the default route, which means for all the IP addresses, I want to route through the WireGuard client interface 1, which is connecting to the remote UXG Pro's VPN, right? This is what I want to do. And then I want to give the custom routing table a number. Let me say 888. Okay, it's created. Hold your thought. I know there's some problem in this route, but we will discuss that later. I have a custom routing table, but it's not effective because I have no any routing rule to route any traffic through it. So let me add a new routing rule, IP rule. Add from the subnet of this Mac machine, which is associated with the WireGuard server. So as long as the traffic is from this subnet, including the Mac machine, I wanted to use the table 888, which I just created. Okay, I'm done about the custom routing creation. Let me repeat the TCP dump and in the UXG part, the TCP dump is still running. I never kill it. Then in the UDM Pro, let me rerun the TCP dump command, the exact same command I ran previously. Okay, then in the right side Mac machine, let me ping 9999 once. See, this time we do have traffic in the remote UXG Pro. That's a perfect sign, right? Let's first still look into the packets within the UDM Pro. So see, the first packet is on this interface. That makes sense because this is the VPN server interface on the UDM Pro, right? So the source IP address is the Mac machine. Destination is 9999. The next one, this is where the difference starts from. The interface is WireGuard client one, which is the VPN client tunnel connecting to the remote UXG Pro. This is exactly what we want, right? We want the internet traffic to be routed to the remote UXG Pro. Perfect. Then you can see the direction is out. Makes sense? But pay attention to this IP address. This IP address is the one for the VPN client, which is running inside the UDM Pro, which is connected with the remote UXG Pro's VPN server. This also makes sense because the interface is this client VPN tunnel, right? And then the destination is 9999. Okay, so then later you can see, yes, we received reply through this VPN tunnel. It's from 9999 to this VPN client's IP address, and then the traffic is routed back to this WireGuard server 1 tunnel, and then it's back to the Mac machine. So this is what happened inside UDM Pro. But apparently between the second packet and the third packet is what the traffic in the upper part of the screen inside UXG Pro. You see, we also have 4 packets. Let's see what happened in UXG Pro. So the first one is the WireGuard server 1 interface in UXG part. So this WG server 1 is not the same WG server 1 here. It has the same name, but it's in another UniFi gateway in UXG Pro. And see, the source IP address is the VPN client's IP address from UDM Pro. And then the second packet, see, Ethernet 2, this is the one part for the UXG Pro. So see, what's the IP address? This is the one IP address of the UXG Pro. From this first packet to the second packet, the NAT happened, right? So that's why we never configured NAT in my custom configuration I just run, but the NAT happened automatically in the remote UXG Pro. Okay, the packet was sent from the one IP address of UXG Pro to 9999. Then the reply back from 9999. Then NAT happened again. This time the interface is the VPN server interface in UXG Pro. So after this packet is out, so the traffic was back to UDM Pro and back to this third packet in the UDM Pro, right? So now the whole process makes sense. It seems everything works perfectly already, right? But you know what? No, we have a big problem. We just successfully pinged 9999, right? This time, let me still run ping, but pingx.com. So the difference is this time there should be actual step for DNS name resolution. Let's see whether it works. Nope, doesn't work. To confirm that's DNS issue, let me dig x.com. Nope, doesn't work. In UniFi Network Controller, go to VPN server for the WireGuard server which I use to connect to the lower part macOS. You can see for DNS server, the setting is the default one, Alter. Alter means the VPN client will use this gateway IP address as the DNS server. To confirm it's the case, in lower part, let me run sc utility to display the DNS setting. So you can see for this VPN channel, utunnel 10, the name server is .8.1, right? So this is the DNS server which will be used when I try to ping x.com. But why it doesn't work? Why the domain name cannot be resolved? Because I cannot even reach out to this .8.1 gateway IP address. I can show you. Let me directly ping the IP address. See? it cannot be pinged. There's nothing wrong with DNS. The reason is if I run dig command, but I specify, let's say 8888 as the DNS server, then let me see whether I can resolve x.com. See, no problem. I can get the answer back. So which means the root cause for the ping x.com failed is because this Mac OS client cannot even reach out to the gateway to 8.1. Why is that? Now it's time to revisit our routing. In the left side SSH, if I show the routing table we just defined, IP route show table 888. This is the custom routing table we defined, right? What we are saying is very brutal, which is whatever IP address you want to reach out to, you go through this interface, the WireGuard client 1 interface, which means no matter what's your destination IP address, the traffic will go through the client VPN tunnel to be routed by the remote UXG Pro. This routing works for most cases, but for some special cases, it causes trouble. For example, if I simply want to reach out to the VPN server gateway IP address, I cannot do that anymore. Because from UXG Pro side, of course, it doesn't know what's .8.1. This .8.1 only exists in UDM Pro, not in UXG Pro, right? That's why the routing doesn't work. That's why the dig didn't work. That's why the name resolution didn't work. Of course, you may think to make it work is very easy. For the DNS server setting in UDM Pro, you simply change the DNS server to, let's say, 8888, right? This will resolve the DNS issue. But the root cause for the issue is not really about DNS. The root cause is about routing, right? I want to resolve it from the root. To put it another way, I need to make this ping work, which is 192.168.8.1. This is about routing, right? In UDM Pro, let me run IP route to show you the routing table. Okay, you can see the extremely simple routing table. It's only talking about the default network, the WAN network, and the .8 VPN client network, right? But you may ask, where is the custom route we defined in the table 888? We don't see it here. The reason is if you simply run IP route, what you are displaying is just the main table. There can be multiple routing tables in your system. For example, the 888 is one of them. To show all the routings, we need to use IP rule command instead. If I run IP rule show, it will give me a complete picture of the current routing. See the second line, this is the rule we added. It is using the custom table 888, right? And it's from the .8 subnet. So far so good. Then we need to understand why we cannot completely reach out to .8.1, the gateway IP address. If you check the previous display for IP route, to reach out to .8.1, it need to go through this rule, right? This rule will use the WireGuard server interface in UDM Pro. We do have a routing to make it possible for us to reach out to the gateway. But why it doesn't work for us? As I mentioned, this 3 route you see is from main table. Then let's look into this IP rule show complete routing information. Where is the main table? It's here. It's the third line. Now you may realize what really happened. See, our custom rule appears before the main rule. Let me show the routing table 888 and the main one more time. IP route show table main, then show table 888. If you just look into these two routing tables, nothing's wrong individually. The problem is they are in wrong sequence because the 888 is before main and 888 is very brutal. So no matter what's the destination IP address, it will be routed using the WireGuard client interface, right? So then to reach out to .8.1, this working main table will never be used because the 888 is always taken taken, right? So what we really need to do is to switch these two rules so that the 888 will be executed after the main table. How we can do that? We can specify the so-called priority when we create the IP rule. Remember previously, this is how we add the rule to use table 888, right? So now to change the sequence, first we need to delete this IP rule. So the way to delete it is to run similar command, but change the add to DL. Okay, it's deleted. So now if you show the IP rule again, you will see the table 888 just disappears. Now the main is back to the second line, right? Now let's add this rule again, but specify priority. And what's priority? In fact, priority is just the sequence number you see here. So you can see for main, the priority is 32000, right? As long as we specify a number larger than that, the sequence will be behind it, right? So let me say 32001. Okay, let me run it. Then let me show the IP rule again. Now the lookup 888 is back, but it appears after this main lookup. So this time, if we try to reach out to the gateway IP address .8.1 again, let's see whether it works. Let me ping .8.1. Yes, see, this time it works. And if I run dig command, digx.com, yes, it works. If I ping x.com, yes, it works. Now it seems everything works perfectly, right? Just to confirm, the regular internet traffic is still being routed through the remote UX3 Pro. Let me run TCP dump again. So let me still run the exact same command in UX3 Pro. Then run the same command in UDM Pro. Then in the Mac machine, let me ping 9999. Okay, it still works. We see traffic in both UX3 Pro and the UDM Pro, just like before. But if we ping .8.1, let me change the TCP dump parameter. Let me specify 192.168.8.1. Then in UDM Pro, run the same command. Then from the Mac machine, let me ping .8.1. See, the traffic is only routed inside UDM Pro. It doesn't reach out to the UX3 Pro. Perfect. That works, right? We successfully resolved the root cause. Now the traffic works perfectly. Before ending this video, let's make sure from this Mac machine, if I want to reach out to another VLAN within UDM Pro, I'm able to do that and the traffic won't be routed through this VPN client tunnel. So let's see whether it works. Go to network, then create a new VLAN, VLAN 18, customize the subnet and give it VLAN ID 18. Now in the lower left of the screen, I just spin up a new virtual machine for VLAN 18. So let me confirm it is in VLAN 18. Yeah, we can tell from the IP address it's in .18 subnet. Then in the Mac machine, let me ping this VLAN 18 machine. Remember, this is just a new VLAN and a brand new machine. We never touch the routing. So let's see whether it works automatically. Yes, it does, right? And then as the final test, let's do something more regular. Let's visit a website. So let's see whether the traffic will still go through the remote UX3 Pro through the VPN client tunnel. Let me try to visit x.com. Let me get the x.com IP address again. It's this IP address, right? Then in the UX3 Pro's SSH session, let me run the TCP dump command. This time, use the x.com's IP address as the host. Then in the Mac machine, let me run curl to visit the website of x.com. It's HTTPS, run it. Okay, in UX3 Pro, we can see all the traffic was routed through the UXG Pro. So we successfully completed what we want to achieve, which is route the internet traffic of the UDM Pro's VPN client through the VPN tunnel of the remote VPN server, which is UXG Pro. Okay, let me summarize how we achieve that. In UDM Pro, what we really did was first, we created the custom routing table 8888. Then we added a new rule to route the .8 subnet through the WireGuard client 1 interface, which is this rule, right? And we made sure this rule appear after the main routing. In this way, if the traffic is through the internal VLANs of UDM or to the gateway of the .8 subnet, it will still be routable by the UDM Pro. But other than that, if it's for internet, it will be routed by this new routing table. That's what we did. In fact, what we did is exactly what policy-based routing is supposed to do. In fact, when UniFi's policy-based routing works, internally, it's also manipulating these routing tables, just like what we did. Another thing I want to stress is what I talk about in this video is just to give you some idea. It's not a complete solution because you may well know what we did cannot survive a gateway reboot. Of course, if you really want, you can research on the internet. You may be able to find some custom solutions to run script when the gateway restarts so that you can get your routing back, right? But I don't want to cover that in this video. Okay, this is the end for the video. Thanks for watching.